Okay, so you know you want to get a Sony crop sensor camera. Well, which one do you get? Do you get the entry-level guy, or do you get the big, bold, and beautiful a6700? There's one thing that actually might make the decision for you, and I'll give you a hint. It's that fuzzy guy right there. Okay, now Sony has been very conscious of vloggers and things like that. And so they've been putting a lot of those features into all their cameras, including the a6700. The ZV-E10 is really designed to be a vlogging camera. So we're gonna compare these two. I did a bunch of tests way back in the summer, comparing both of these in walking tests and things like that, showing off some of these neat features that they have. And that's when the ZV-E10 really starts to shine. Take a look. So here we are on the 6700 in its vlog mode. Obviously, exposure's on auto. We do have this nice little guide frame here that's the 9:16 vertical video crop for you. It gives you an idea what that's gonna look like, which is super, super handy. Of course, we have a few options on the side of the screen here. Your record button, your autofocus selection type. You can do tracking. Right now, it is just on the default, which I've set it on, which is the eye autofocus. So whichever eye is closer, it tends to kind of focus on that. And so we'll see how well it does and see how close we can get and how far away we can get. So from all the testing that I've done, it seems like the autofocus does work pretty well. It does not have a dedicated product showcase like the ZV-E10, but it does seem to do a pretty decent job of understanding when you brought something important close to the camera. As you can see with our little German ducky here and with our little microphone here. So it does seem to struggle with that a little bit more. But overall, it is still pretty darn good, and that eye autofocus, though, is pretty incredible. Now, you might be wondering what this light is suddenly doing here, and that's to just show off that we're using the auto framing feature. So as I move, we'll be able to see the difference. We'll be able to see the light move, and it's not just a kind of nameless white void behind me. But this is a really handy feature for anyone who does a lot of content creation on their own, and they want just something a little more dynamic than camera sitting in the corner of the room and they're just walking around doing their thing in an empty space. So this allows the camera to just automatically crop in, I think up to about 1080p, and follow me around and keep me moving. You can have it be very responsive where it's like right on top of me. Right now, this is, I think, the middle setting, so it kind of feels more like someone who's behind the camera following me around. And it's pretty well implemented, if you ask me. Occasionally it has some glitches, but as long as you're watching your screen, you'll be able to know if anything has gone wrong, and you just restart. Really cool, really handy, and great for those solo content creators. So now it's time to test this camera on the go. So I'm gonna be walking around our studio here. It's currently empty. I actually had a class here last night. So we're gonna test a few things. We're gonna test the stabilization. We're gonna test how it handles different lighting situations. This is currently set entirely on auto, so I don't really know what it's going to do. Right now it seems to be okay, but we'll see how it goes. We are also going to test the sound. Now normally we would recommend that you use an external microphone, but we understand people don't always do that, so we are going to test all that. Okay, so here we are in the Picture Line parking lot. It's kind of quiet over here, so we'll just kind of do a little bit of walking. Watch as I transition into the sunshine, see how the camera handles it. Seems to be doing okay. Generally, the image looks pretty good on the screen here. Definitely bright enough to use in bright daylight. So we're gonna head out towards the street and see how things sound. This band is very good. I'll be the judge of that. This might be an odd question to ask a bunch of photographers, but what's your favorite band? Comment below, let us know. I'd be curious anyway, especially if it's a band I never heard of. Okay, now throughout this video, we are going to be switching between the lav mic and the internal mic, and we will be labeling it on the screen for you. But you can get an idea. We got some cars passing right now, and I'm just gonna keep talking, say some sentences. This is the internal mic, how it sounds with the back to the road. This is the lav mic, how it sounds. It does seem to be struggling a little bit. Like it's kind of balancing the exposure. It's a very challenging situation, but. So next we're gonna go running inside. We'll see how it handles the transition from bright daylight, sun right on my face, to inside the store. That's Paxton. He's excessively joyful. Okay, so now we're on the ZV E10's vlogging mode. I have the screen out just to the right here so I can see myself. We have the product showcase turned on, so when I bring something close to the lens, you should see it track onto focus, which I think it is. It's kind of far away, kind of a small screen. And I know sometimes the Ducky doesn't work super well, so I'll just hold up my DJI mic that we've been using lately. But as you can see, it looks pretty decent. I'm going to try walking around the frame just a little bit to make sure that it's tracking my focus, get it up close and personal, see how it tracks me there. It's also worth noting this is on automatic exposure, so the exposure might change a little bit. But yeah, as you can see, as I get closer, it does a fairly decent job. I'm also kind of stretching the limits of its possibilities here. But you know, getting all nice and close, and making uncomfortable eye contact. But overall, it seems to be pretty decent, built for that. The camera also itself is very, very lightweight, so that's really, really handy. You know, we're currently setting it on a tripod. You'll be the judge as to whether any of this looks any good or not, because it's really hard for me to tell from this far away. Okay, so we're back here in the studio, nice and empty, with the ZV E10. Now, interesting thing about this guy is that it has a built-in microphone that's designed to reject off-axis sounds, which is just a fancy way of saying it mostly captures sound from the front of the camera. So ideally, the person that is talking, especially in vlogging. It's also the only one to come with one of these little guys. This is a wind dampener. A lot of industry guys would call it a dead cat or a dead kitten when it's this size. But I think I'm gonna call it Fluffy Mic Boy. So to give you an idea of what that kind of wind noise sounds like, it's not terribly windy outside, but you might notice a difference. So I'm gonna do a little testing here. Here's what wind might sound like if you don't have the Fluffy Mic Boy. Not pleasant. Now I'll go ahead and put on Fluffy Mic Boy. And let's see how it sounds. It's a big difference. Now, I'm basically always going to recommend that you use an external microphone. They're just going to get you better sound. There's so many different options for you. But if you're someone who needs to use the in-camera audio, the ZV E10's going to have you covered. Okay, so here we are outside. We're about to step into the sunlight of the parking lot here at Picture Line. We'll see how this does. From what little I've done walking around with this, the auto mode does seem to be a little bit superior on the 6700, which, you know, makes a lot of sense. It's a newer camera. But yeah, let's go walk around a bit. Gosh, I'm so hot. He said wearing a black shirt in the sun in Utah in the summer. I think I made some poor choices today. So I just wish it was a lot windier today, just because you definitely hear a lot bigger of a difference between this and the a6700. Under normal circumstances, it definitely seems like these little fuzzy guys, little fluffy mic boys, do kind of make your sound maybe a teeny bit duller. But trust me, when it gets windy, you're definitely gonna want the fluffy mic boys. So right now I have the camera with its back facing the road. There's lots of cars driving by. I can hear them, they're quite loud. We'll switch. Currently we're on the lav. Let's switch to the in-camera audio. So now walking along the street here, we have the camera's back to the road, which is very noisy. I may have to set this sucker down and roll up the sleeves on my long sleeve shirt because someone made poor choices this morning. It's a little better. Okay, so pro tip, it does have a sunny weather monitor option, which is really handy. And now it looks quite a bit better. I kind of tell I'm a little bit backlit, but it is prioritizing my face. So there's something. That's the money maker after all. Let's switch it around. See, there we go. That's a little nicer. So overall, I made a comment about the 6700 being heavy, and honestly, this does feel a little bit lighter. I know it is physically lighter, and I thought, you know, I'm gonna be so tired by the end of all these shoots. At least with this guy, it does seem to be a different enough weight that it's not too bad. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and head inside and see how it handles the transition from outside to in. Not quite lunchtime. Picture line. Wheel open. There's like nobody here. So when it comes to just vlogging, it seems like the ZV-E10 is really great. Like, it's kind of ready to go out of the box. You can grab it, pick it up. You don't have to buy a mic. You don't have to buy anything extra. You just set it up and you go. And I think that's going to be really appealing to people who are trying to get started with vlogging fast. Whereas the 6700, the video features are incredible and the video quality is incredible. But if you're somebody who's wanting to do specifically vlogging, it's not going to be that great for you. But if you're doing more than that, like if you're trying to do short films, if you're trying to do, you know, maybe some low-end commercial work, this is really going to have all the power and, you know, quality that you need to get that done. But what do you think? Which camera would be right for you? Whatever it is, comment below. We'd love to hear about it. Today's video and footage was all shot using Delkin black memory cards. Check them out in the link in the description. They're great. And if you want to purchase either one of these cameras, you can do so at picturelighting.com, also in the description. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to take your camera out today. See you next time.